I will tell you a bit how we are already promoting independent living in Iceland, but not least importantly, how we intend to improve, because there is definitely room for improvement here as well as in most countries, I believe. Sorry, nothing happening. Supposed to be a new slide coming up. Here we go. I would like to start by telling you a bit about in what ways independent living is already being promoted in Iceland before, as I said, diving into how we aim to do better. Here in Iceland, independent living for persons with disabilities is supported through various services and programs already, and I'll tell you shortly about some key aspects. The Icelandic government provides a range of services designed to assist persons with disabilities in living independently. And these services can include home assistance, personal care, rehabilitation. Municipalities are responsible for providing local services, and individuals can apply for specific support depending on their personal needs. We also have financial assistance, where people can be eligible for financial support through the pension system or grants that help cover the cost of assistive devices, healthcare, and other services that promote independent living. The pension system is, of course, intended to ensure that people with disabilities can maintain a reasonable standard of living. There are initiatives to ensure that public and private housing is accessible to persons with disabilities. This includes making sure that new buildings are designed to accommodate accessibility needs, such as ramps or wider doorways, etc., but also retrofitting older buildings when necessary. So there are grant systems in place for that. And then there is assistive technology, of course, such as mobility aids, communication devices, or specialized equipment. And those tools increase independence. I will carry on with this list of mine, employment and education. We can definitely do better there, and aim at doing so this year and the following year. We can increase participation of persons with disability, both within the labour market and in the education systems. But there are various programs already in place. We do have an Act on Equal Treatment in the labour market, and there are various support systems in place to assist individuals in overcoming barriers to entering the workforce. Similarly, inclusive education policies are in place to support students with disabilities in both primary and higher education settings. User-led personal assistance services, or BPA, has been in place through law since 2018, and this entails that individuals can receive personal assistance services where they themselves direct the services, who assists them, when, where, and what they are supposed to do. So the whole of the services are planned and managed by the users themselves. Today, there are 126 individuals who hold an agreement for BPA in Iceland. The main reason for this relatively small group of people is first and foremost the cost of each agreement, which is high in relation to other services. Secondly, that it requires a lot of input from the users in their role as managers, and as the services are quite new, many people are scared of taking the step into this responsibility to manage the services themselves. And I would also shortly like to mention advocacy and disability rights. We have several organizations in Iceland that advocate for the rights of persons with disabilities, ensuring that their voices are heard in policy discussion, and making sure that the government upholds its domestic and international obligations. And finally, community integration. Our society generally puts a strong emphasis on social inclusion, and there are various community-based programs and organizations that support individuals with disabilities in participating in cultural, recreational, and social activities. And this, of course, can also contribute to greater independence and a sense of belonging. So although we have a lot of supporting factors promoting independent living, there's still a lot of work to be done. And here's a short slide on CRPD in Iceland. The convention was signed in 2007. It was ratified in 2016. A national implementation plan was issued last year, and I will tell you more about this in the next slide. And in December last year, 2024, a new government took office, and its policy statement entails that the convention is to be enacted within the term. So we are now in full force writing the whole convention into Icelandic law. So we hope that will happen this year. This national implementation plan, it was decided in 2022 to make a huge implementation plan. It took us 18 months to work on this plan, and it will be the government's main instrument in policy making for this period, 2024 till 2027. Its main objective is to realize the convention. This was 18 months of extensive collaboration between government, municipalities, NGOs, and persons with disabilities themselves. We had 12 working groups. They were all led by persons with disabilities or their representatives, each working group. And we analyzed the articles, 33 articles of the convention, and are trying to bridge the gap between the convention and the reality in Iceland with action items. We managed to get 60 items through the parliament. So this is a parliamentary resolution of 60 action items. And they are divided into these 6 categories: raising awareness, accessibility, independent living, education and employment, service development, and enactment. I will now share with you the action items that are in the category of independent living. Within this time span of the plan, we then plan on making another implementation plan for 2028 till 2030, because there were a lot of action items that did not make it through the first cut. But there are 7 action items that fall into this category now. But of course, we could argue that all 60 action items are supporting independent living in some way, shape, or form. But the measures that the government has decided on taking before the end of 2027 that are directly categorized as independent living action items are these ones. The first one is assistance cards. These cards are aimed at granting persons with disability free access to events organized by state or municipality for their assistant. Today, people in many instances have to pay for 2 tickets or 2 entrances. This will make sure that the assistant does not have to pay, or the person for the assistant. And our hopes are that this will spread to the private sector as well. So this will kind of grow into the community. A reformation of the pension system. There are significant legal amendments set to enter into force on September 1st. And their aim is to mitigate early reliance on permanent disability pensions by making it financially beneficial to work part-time. And more than 95% of current benefit holders will receive higher payments after this reform on 1st September and have more opportunity to work without having their pension lowered. Suitable housing includes enforcement of the right of self-determination when choosing one's place of residence, and a focus on providing suitable housing options regardless of residence. So regardless of where you live, whether you live rurally or within a bigger town areas, you will always have a choice of your form of residence. And the plan is to find suitable housing, build up and offer for all those on a waiting list in the next 7 to 10 years. Increased availability of assistive technology and devices. This point speaks for itself. Analysis of the possibilities for fully individual services and funding. And this was at the request of the NGOs to analyze what prerequisites and possibilities for services and funding are there to accompany individuals instead of being stuck to specific forms of service or specific institutions. A service plans for those living in institutions against their own will. Our service law from 2018 states that persons with disabilities who reside in institutions or in community housing shall be offered other housing options. This has sadly not come to fruition. So this action item follows up on that article, and we will map out the will of each individual under the age of 65 living in institutions now with interviews, map out their will, and then make an action plan according to their will. So those that are living against their own will in an institution will have the option of another housing form. And finally, the right to enjoy family life. And we plan on updating guidelines for the municipalities. So when they are assessing a person's need for services, their family situation will always be taken into consideration so that their role within the family is also taken care of. So that's my monologue. Thank you very much. And I welcome any questions here or through email afterwards. Thank you.